Hey guys, and welcome back to Now for something a little bit different, episode 76. This is our spotlight episode. Mr. John Nance, how you doing, my friend? Good to
Man,
see
I'm exhausted, but
you.
it's been forever, right? I just talked to you, what, 2 days ago?
But before that, for like 3 weeks, and then welcoming back, of course, the one and only Mr. Cupcake himself, Mr. Jose from Watch Skip Plus. Welcome back, Jose.
Oh, hello, hello. Thanks for having me back.
Dude, always
I
a
think
pleasure.
that is, yes, thank you. Is this the last of our Jeff Bridges spotlight?
Yeah, we're closing out Jeff Bridges with episode 76. We're going to cover Fat City. I got my indicator released right here. It's got a lot of extra stuff on there. Definitely worth checking out, people. Yeah, and this one was one I had bought when Indicator had one of their big sales. And I was like, hey, I like Stacy Keach, I like Jeff Bridges, but I had never gotten around to seeing it. So when I picked it, I still hadn't even seen it, which is something I very rarely do. I am very adamant about making sure I know what I'm getting into, but I'd never seen that film before, and I think it's a really interesting film. So I'm really looking into like getting into the meat of this film because I feel like it's a simple film, but yet there's also a lot going on, and I think it's a pretty solid one. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
Debit card. Their debit card.
Oh,
Not at the gas pump,
What is
not
that?
at the checkout
Oh,
counter,
it's not coming.
or
That's
the
weird.
room
It's not, I'm
service.
checking my phone. It's not coming from me, so I
Now,
don't know
if
what's
he
coming
has the
from.
Chase mobile app, he can use card.
Oh,
was
that's
there, did your computer connect to another Wi-Fi speaker? That
right.
happens to me sometimes.
That's the only thing I can think of. That's so weird. I've never had that happen. But anyway,
I'm I'm always scared that I'll be like on a Zoom call at the office and then
yeah.
it'll connect to like my cell phone and it'll be
Oh
like
shit, we
some
don't know what's on
podcast
Jose's.
on like adult
Jose,
films or like it'll be like a Twitter clip of people just like moaning. And I'm gonna be like, I don't know where that's coming from. Excuse me.
ignore those sounds. Everything is perfectly normal. There is nothing to be concerned about. We are well, completely 100% professional here at our law office.
Yeah, mostly, right? No,
You
I
might
figured
hear
it out.
that
It was my damn
but I
work
promise
computer.
we'll save your ass when it comes
Ah,
to it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was my damn work computer. I had shut it down, but somehow
Oh,
it turned itself back on.
oh,
oh,
It's the rise
technology.
of the computers, people. I'm
oh,
telling
Oh my God,
yeah.
AI.
Damn,
Skynet, we love you. Scare us.
damn
Give me
Matrix
hugs. Give me hugs, Skynet.
12. She's still upset about failing at the box office. She's come back for revenge.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But anyway, guys, yeah, so today we're going to take you back to 1972, and we're going to talk about Fat City. Before we do that, I'll just touch base with people. What is everybody up to? Has anybody had the opportunity to catch anything good at the theaters or at home on the streaming services? Or
Yeah,
John?
so Friday night went to took the wife and the daughter, and then took my second wife and my second daughter, and we all headed down to Camden Yards to catch Savannah Bananas,
okay,
a
Nice.
baseball game, and it was man, that's the way baseball should be played. It was so fun. Lost my mind when Buck Showalter showed up and Adam Jones came out. Oh, it was
Oh,
wow,
yay.
oh, dude, it was amazing. And then I had the unfortunate experience to
wow.
check out. Um, I love Ice Cube. I think he can do some really good stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
But his new Amazon movie, The War of the Worlds,
Oh,
holy. I want to be what was his father, John Witherspoon and his father in Friday. I'd be like, nobody watched that movie for about 35, 45 weeks. That movie was that movie, it started off, I thought it had a great premise to start off with, right? But then it just went completely off the rails. Like, we're running out of money. We actually ran out of ideas. So let's wrap it up with that, countdown to 1 second and you save the world. It just was, it was a blown opportunity, I think. Again, Ice Cube did well in the movie for his character. But wow, I didn't even know it was a thing until like I saw a preview of it. Because we're getting to watch some rewinds for dinner or something like that, and it came up. I was like, I'm watching this. This ought to be good. I was bamboozled once again.
Oh no.
That was about it for me. How about
yeah.
you, Jose?
So I saw that as well. So this film, if if you guys are not aware of it, it literally just hit Prime this weekend. But it is produced by Timer Bekmambetov. I hope I'm saying that right. The Russian director who directed Wanted, the Night Watch, Day Watch movies, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and he has a company, Basilevs, and they do these Screen Life movies. And so other Screen Life movies have been like Searching with John Cho, Missing was the most recent one, Unfriended. There was also one called Profile, which is pretty damn
Yeah, that
amazing.
was
And
actually
so
pretty good.
yeah. And so they decided to do War of the Worlds and do it as a Screen Life kind of thing. Um, I will say that the special effects are very bad. I mean, we're talking Piranhaconda sci-fi
Oh,
like
baby.
bad. And so I was very disappointed over that. Um, because it's a Screen Life film, there is a lot of visual information, like going to boxes and typing and lots of boxes and this and that. I happen to have actually enjoyed it. I think it was a clever update of how, if you think about the original War of the Worlds and how they defeated the aliens, how they defeat the aliens here. Um, but unfortunately, the thought that was going through my head was Ice Cube really the right person to cast as your hook, as your lead? And at first I was on board, and there's a couple moments where I'm like, okay, that's an Ice Cube moment. That's pretty fantastic. Like I think it was the one where he was like, couldn't you bounce your signal off of Brian's house so
Yeah.
his shit would get
Yeah.
hit by all this alien stuff? I was like, okay, that's why you cast Ice Cube, right? Right. But for the most part, his lead performance is an utter failure. And the movie, it could have worked with I think with a better lead. And so it's 90 minutes of fluff. It's unfortunately not all that great. The director is Rich Lee, who's done a bunch of music videos. He's also done uh like a lot of visual effects. Like that's what his background is. Um, but I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it, but Ice Cube ruined it, unfortunately. There's a good movie here. Um, but I don't know. Maybe it's one that we can look forward to being on Mystery Science Theater or something.
Oh gosh.
So so maybe I don't know. But yeah, I did see that too. John, had you seen any of this or
I saw that it was on there, and I like Ice Cube, but I'm not gonna lie, I was like Ice Cube acting range, Ice Cube acting range. He doesn't have a lot.
yeah.
What was the Are We There Yet movies and of
The
course,
Triple X sequel, State of the Union?
yeah. He's one of those
Oof.
guys. I do like him, but it has to be the right thing. And I'm like, can he pull off sci-fi War of the Worlds? Like, I don't know. It was one of those things I probably would have eventually gotten around to. I'm glad you guys spared me that fate because I think it will make an excellent riff tracks film. I,
Yeah, we took the alien bullet for you.
Oh
Trust us.
gosh.
but I was a little apprehensive about it. But I do like Ice Cube in general. I think if you put him in the right material, he's good. But the key there is putting him in the right material. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I can't emphasize how cheap a lot of the effects look. In fact, I'm not even sure that his office background was a real background. Like it looked like one of those virtual backgrounds that
Oh,
you
it's a
can
green screen.
buy.
Oh, it was a green
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, I was
Oh
looking for
God,
that too.
it was uh,
So
um
hold on a
so
second. They're gonna put an office background. That's the one thing they're gonna cheap out on. Do you think they would save that special effects money for like the sci-fi elements? What's going on here? Like anyone has an office, you can pull up into anybody's house and make an office. It'll take
I
half an
I
hour.
know, but John's right though. The movie, it starts out well. There's a really weird
Yeah.
detour where it's like, okay, it's very obvious who this mastermind hacker is that they're kind of going after.
Mhm.
Um, and then they all like join forces to like try to save the world. Basically, it's kind of a hot mess, but I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. John, did you have Korean Cool? Did you have any other stuff that you've checked out before I kind of jump in?
Oh gosh. Yeah, So I had to go back because again, we're getting ready to go watch Savannah Bananas. So I had to go back and check out the Bench Warmers again with Rob
Oh, yeah.
Schneider.
Yes,
just
yes.
to get the funny bone going because I was like I said, I've been exhausted over this past month, and I just need a little pick me up before going to the game. And man, that's a fun movie if folks haven't checked that out. It's just a feel good movie. I love it.
I
Yeah.
love the bench warmers.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. So for me, just spoiler for our next upcoming episode, we decided not to do The Naked Gun on Watch Skip Plus, but we chose an indie film called Together. I think this may be on a lot of people's radar because the trailer, it's basically about a couple that through some weird mysterious force starts trying to like blend each other's bodies. And so you're seeing all these like critic quotes like best horror film of the year, absolute shocker, like this and that or what have you. And Mike, my co-host at Watch the Plus, had already seen it at Sundance, but we chose that as sort of counter programming. And just spoiler alert for me, it was maybe not entirely successful, and there is a late in the game plot swing that the director takes, the writer director Michael Shanks takes, and it pulled me out of the film a little bit.
Mhm.
But again, spoiler, as we were actually discussing the film, I changed my mind in terms of my verdict. But nonetheless, it is an interesting film. I know there's a lot of like slant towards the body horror, but this really is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which would take supernatural elements and sort of have it as a commentary on, growing up in high school and the alienation that that brings. This film takes body horror and examines relationships and who you are in a relationship and what do you do when you feel like you've grown apart from somebody or the relationship suffocates your own identity. And so I think if you think about that and then go see it, it will be rewarding. For me, unfortunately, there was a little bit of a pacing issue.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that Dave Franco, as gorgeous as he is a little limited in his acting range. And I know he's really stretching here, and especially since he's sharing the screen with his wife, Allison Brie, you would think that like he would really bring the thunder, but kind of didn't. She works out a little better in this. She's really great, Allison Brie. And Damon Harriman is an actor that I've always had my eye on. He played I want to say Dewey Crow. I might be wrong about that, but anyway, he was on Justified. Damon
Oh, okay.
Harrington. He is an Australian actor. I've always loved him in everything that he's been in. He's actually played Charles Manson twice. I didn't
Yeah.
realize this, both in Netflix's Mindhunter and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino film. So,
Oh, yeah,
um,
I remember reading something about that. Talk about being unusual, right? Just happened to have
yeah,
that
Yeah.
role twice, you
he
know?
just happens to look like Charlie Manson, which
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about the fact that I'm very much attracted to Damon Harriman. But anyway, whatever. Maybe I would have drank the Kool-Aid
Yeah.
too. I don't know. Anyway, let's just move on from that weirdness.
Yeah.
But he plays a somewhat pivotal character in this film. Um, the more that I think about Together, the more that it actually sticks with me and makes me think that if I saw it a second time, maybe I might actually really be on board with it. So I was kind of on the fence. Mike loved it the second time around. So yeah, that. And I checked out a Korean series on Netflix called Mercy for None. The original title is
Oh.
Gwangjong. And this does star a couple notable Korean actors. I can't remember off the top of my head what other shows they were in, but this one basically had been sold to me kind of like a Korean John Wick, where somebody's taking revenge for a brother who is sort of murdered in this weird kind of like uh, Korean gangster again, Korean gang against Korean gang, but it's actually more than that. And the narrative style, so every episode closes with sort of a flashback to something that you had not known before, and it actually changes the perspective of everything that you've seen and sets you up for the next episode. So 7 episodes of this. It's a little predictable, but it's got some pretty brutal action in it, and it's pretty cool. I don't know which episode it's in, but there is a scene that gives the old boy hallway fight scene a run for its money.
Oh,
So yeah, please check it out. Mercy for None. It's
okay.
pretty damn cool.
Very cool.
And then the other stuff, I'm trying to think if I've seen anything, if we watched anything else other than my old Dark Shadow episodes. I think that's all I've got
Yeah, that's okay.
pretty much to share. So
Those are some interesting ones. You know, just to dial back to the Dave Franco, Allison Brie, I've been meaning to see. I think Dave Franco's directed a couple films now at this point with him
yes,
and Allison Brie, and I keep
The
on
Rental.
Yeah, I keep on meaning to get to it because I know you're not supposed to say his older brother's name out in public. It's like Beetlejuice. If you name it 3 times, you're going to get shunned. But, you know, the talent definitely lies there. And it's cool to see because I know his brother directed a shit ton of movies. And really the only one I've seen was the one about
the disaster artist Tommy Wiseman, The Room.
I've gotten around to. But it's cool to see artists take a chance and go from the acting to directing because I heard good things about The Rental. I just haven't gotten around to that one, so I'm curious to check that one out for sure.
Yeah, we talked about that on the show. It's good actually.
Yeah.
The Rental, but it just felt like a more serious, Very Bad Things. If you know that comedy, directed by Peter Berg with Christian Slater. Yeah. I hated that movie. I still to this day have not finished it. I tried to watch it a second time and I was like, I can't, and I turned it off. But anyway.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So with me, I didn't get, believe it or not, I didn't get a chance to watch a ton either, which is surprising because I usually try to cram as much as I can. I did see, because I love animated stuff and I love Sam Rockwell, so I had to go see Bad Guys too. You know,
how was that?
If you like, have you seen the first one?
Yep.
I couldn't finish it.
Yeah. If you like animated movies, okay, you'll like it. I think I love it.
Okay.
Sam Rockwell, I will watch him. He's one of those actors I will watch him do anything in. And I also love heist movies. And you got like just a great cast. You got Mark Maron, you got Craig Robinson, Anthony Ramos, Aquafina, you got Zazie Beetz, you got Natasha Lyonne, you got a bunch of great actors. And basically, it's a little bit different, but it's basically following the same formula. This time, the good guys are trying to go the straight life, and they're of course struggling with that because society has this preconceived image of who they are. Of course, they get reeled into this situation where they're blackmailed and they're forced to become bad guys again temporarily. Spoiler. And wacky hijinks ensue. I mean, like I said, if you like the first one, you'll like this one. I like animated stuff. I love Sam Rockwell. So for me, this was like a no-brainer. So I saw that, and then I saw The Naked Gun. And The Naked Gun's
how was it?
It's a hard movie to review. But you know, we were talking about off camera because it really there's not a lot of story. I mean, it's basically this one. It's Frank Drebin Jr., the son, played by Liam Neeson. And he gets caught up in this story where he's trying to help Pamela Anderson's character. Her brother basically gets killed. He's a journalist. And he's trying to basically help her find out who did it, and then also thwart the bad guy who basically is set to set up this thing where this computer thing where everybody goes violent. You just press a button and everybody turns violent. So it's a very ridiculous premise, but so are all the other Naked Gun movies. And if you like the humor that you saw from the other Naked Gun movies, I think you're going to like it. If that's the kind of thing that's up your alley when it comes to humor. For me, I like all different types of humor. I'm not like some people just like British humor, or they like dark humor or slapstick. My tastes are really all over the place when it comes to humor. And I do like physical comedy, of course, and I like gags and stuff like that. I was surprised because, let's face it, when you think Liam Neeson, generally speaking, you think two different camps of Liam Neeson acting. You think of like Schindler's List, back when he had this like serious dramatic roles, and then
Rob Roy,
yeah.
And then at a certain point, let's face it, I remember for me, I was floored because all of a sudden a movie called Taken came out, and that like basically enveloped his personality and his persona on screen. Like almost every movie, and I'm not going to say every movie, but almost every movie since that film has become some sort of variation of that character, just a thousand times over. Throughout
The
those
Lone
movies,
Revenger.
yes, the lone revenger. He's pissed about something. He's going to revenge something. It might not be a dead dog. It might be a sister-in-law.
Yeah.
God knows what. But Liam Neeson will be there. But I did remember a comedy he did with Seth MacFarlane. What is it? A Million Ways to Die in the West? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember, although he wasn't the main character, he did have some funny moments in that. So when I saw the trailer, I was a little bit on the fence about this film. I'm not going to lie, because the Naked Gun movies, even though they were a million years ago, they were still funny movies. And I wasn't sure if anybody could really pull off, have that kind of charisma. And especially, like I said, going in with this preconceived notion of what I thought Liam Neeson was as an actor. And like I said, I basically told you those two different type of archetypes, the serious actor and then the Mr. Action guy. But he did a really good job. I mean, if you're just willing to shut your brain off for an hour and a half, grab a bowl of popcorn and a soda and some candy, and just have a fun time, you're going to laugh. There's some really good stuff. And I will say this much also, Pamela Anderson, man, she's fantastic. She's absolutely wonderful in the role. I think, didn't you mention on one of the episodes, Watch Skip Plus, that you had seen that one movie that she did this year that was kind of being touted as like her serious like comeback?
The Last Showgirl. Yeah.
I hadn't seen it. I haven't seen it yet. I know there was a lot of buzz about it, but listen, I think it's great that she's trying different things, and like I said, she was really, really good in this. So I definitely would say, if you guys have some time, check out Naked Gun. You're not going to be disappointed. So
Yeah, Anderson's so I'm a huge Pam Anderson fan, and she did a show called VIP, Valerie Irons Protection Agency.
Yeah.
It was in
Okay.
syndication.
Yep.
She also did believe it or not, a Stan Lee produced, created cartoon called Stripperella, where she played a superhero stripper. And then there was a Fox comedy show called Stacked. It was called Stacked, yes, but it took place in a bookstore where she was working, where they stack books. But I think a lot of people just pigeonhole her as like the Playboy Baywatch kind of girl, the Snapdragon movies, things like that. But those projects that I just mentioned, she has exhibited crack genius comedic timing, and nobody gives her credit for it. And I'm hoping that people see The Naked Gun and realize she can do comedy. She's really, really good. It's just that, like I said, people have like preconceived notions about her. And I am so happy that the two of them are dating, because, as you know, Liam Neeson's wife, Natasha Richardson, had a skiing accident. And, you know, with these kinds of concussions, she thought she was fine. She went to sleep, and then she didn't wake up, unfortunately. And I think it's been like 12 or 14 years since he's ever dated anybody publicly. And so I'm just happy that the two of them got together, and they seem to be really happy dating each other. So that's kind of cool.
no, that was adorable. You know, I don't normally pay attention to like the background, like what's going on in the real world. But when I heard that, and you see them in the interviews, they really are wonderful together. That you can see the chemistry between them. It seems very natural. Who would have thought? But hey, listen, everyone deserves to be happy, and they both have been through a lot with even her, like with some of her relationships and shit. You hear? Yeah. So that was great.
And then the other thing with Liam Neeson is it's nice to see him playing against type. And so if there's any reason to go, it is because he was that lone revenger in films. But I want to make a pitch for a Martin Campbell movie he did called Memory, which feels a lot like that. But what's great about that movie is he is an assassin who is going on his like last job, but he's starting to lose his memory. And so he's unsure, like, did I try to kill this person? Can I trust this person? What's happening? Where am I in this assassination plot? So please check out Memory. It's pretty good.
So I gotta ask, because you know, you're right. I mean, he got kind of typecast, but then what was the movie? A Walk Among the Tombstones.
Oh yeah,
yes,
so good.
You know, that was great. I definitely liked him in The Marksman, right? Because like you said,
Oh, yeah.
everyone had this like persona of this is the character, the revenger and stuff, but then you see him as like a vulnerable guy who talks tough, and they just, and they were great stories, number one. Uh, but it's really cool to see him expand his forte. To your point, Jose. Yeah, Pamela Anderson, I think she is the breath of fresh air in terms of comedy, female comedy, that really needs to be brought more onto the screen because what's the next one? Bride Hard. It's like
Yes.
it's like I get what you guys are doing with that, but I don't know,
Yeah,
versus
it's too much.
exactly. You know what I mean? So that's awesome to hear. I can't wait until I finally get to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention too. Neeson had a surprisingly good Netflix movie surface called Ice Road, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
yeah, and I think there's a
Right.
sequel
there is.
now. And
Yeah.
so I am dying to see the sequel because I remember watching Ice Road and being like, this is better than it had any right to actually be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a cross between the reality show Ice Road Truckers and like Sorcerer, if you think of that. Like
Yeah.
he has to transport something and he's going over this crazy like ice road basically. But yeah, I'm excited to see this sequel.
Yeah,
Nice.
because that movie, I don't know. I'm sorry, John. It's
Oh,
I saw the trailer, I was like, how the hell do you make a movie about an ice road trucker? And then I finally
And
broke
they
down, watched
did.
it. I was like, that's how you make a movie about ice road
About ice road
truckers.
truckers. Exactly, exactly. Better than it had any right to be.
Yes. Yeah,
And
it
it
was
was
really good.
fantastic.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. I think I've seen that one on Netflix. I just haven't gotten around to it. So
Oh,
cool.
definitely check it out.
One brief thing, which I will mention, Paul Walter Hauser is in this also, and he has a pretty good supporting role. And I'll tell you what, every time that guy shows up on screen, he impresses me. He started off, I think, Cobra Kai.
Yep.
He's in the new Fantastic Four, very small role. He's on an Apple movie, which I can't remember the name of.
Oh, you mean the series Blackbird?
Yeah, but the series Blackbird, he's great in the Blackbird, really, really creepy role. But he pops up, and wherever he pops up, he's always bringing it. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, he's also really good in the movie too. So
Speaking of bringing it, didn't he attempt a wrestling thing? Yeah, but he tried to jump into Major League Wrestling actually. While he was also doing acting. It's very weird. I was like, no, Richard Harris, like the Clint Eastwood directed like dramatic Richard Harris, like he's gonna do wrestling. But yeah, Google it. He's attempted it. It's crazy.
People-
Wow.
if there's not one lesson to be learned from life, Mickey Rourke used to be a beautiful man, right? He was on top of the world. He had a fantastic acting career with some really great, like Pope of Greenwich Village, so many great movies, one after another. And that dumb fucker got it in his head that he could handle professional boxing. And his career, I hate to say it because we are vain as human beings. We can say we're not, but we are when it comes to watching movies. His face was never the same. And I don't think even if he got a great plastic surgeon, his face would have returned to what it was. But that whole guy's career was derailed. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been in The Wrestler, and he was great in Sin City. He's had a couple decent roles, but don't
Yeah, he doesn't look the same now.
go into professional fighting or wrestling unless you really think you can do it. And even if you think you can do it, don't do it because there's a possibility you can fuck up your face, man. And if you want to have a career,
Yeah.
and
that's the irony for Sin City. He didn't put on any makeup. That was his face.
We'll throw a little mark on here.
John's taking the piss because he's under layers of makeup in Sin City. But you're right. It was just like, that is Mickey Rourke, right?
Well, if you see him in the last 20 years, it's just gotten worse,
Yeah.
But don't get into professional fighting. You can't do it. Don't.
He looks like he should be on Botched. That reality series about like the plastic surgeons that correct bad plastic surgery. Yeah. Poor thing.
Whoa.
Anyway, on to the film, gentlemen. We are here
On
to
to
talk
the film.
about Fat City. We're going to 1972. This isn't a young baby Jeff Bridges, only 18 years old. And even Stacy Keach, I didn't check his exact age, but he couldn't have been more than in his 30s, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
His 30s.
So some interesting things before I get into some of the stuff. I just want to talk a little bit about the title because I was a little bit curious about the title, and I thought this was interesting. Apparently, it's part of African American slang, and it basically when you say you want to go to Fat City, it means you want the good life. That's what Fat City represents, and also. Our writer says he got the idea after seeing a photograph of a tenement in an exhibit in San Francisco, and Fat City was scrawled in the bottom. So that gives you a little like reference to the name. Because at first I was trying to kind of like get an idea of what was the meaning behind the name because it just seemed kind of random.
It's a nickname for Stockton, California, as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
which is where the film is set. So
yeah. So I think that was interesting. So obviously, the legendary Mr. John Huston directed that. And basically, I'll get the general premise, which is basically two working men as professional boxers come to blows when their careers each begin to take different directions. And that's the very basic premise. From there, I'll turn things over to you, to Jose, to talk about our behind the scenes people. And then I'll work on our actors and talk about that as well.
Yeah. So this is directed by John Huston. Obviously, we talked about him before because he cropped up as an actor in Winter Kills, which was my pick for the Spotlight series. And I can't remember where this falls in terms of him working with Jeff Bridges in that film versus like the other films he had directed. But I know that by the time Fat City had rolled around, Huston had done a bunch of other films that were not successful. So, Sinful Davy, A Walk with Love and Death, The Kremlin Letter, those films did not exactly light the box office back on fire. But when this came out, this actually was a success for John Huston. And then I think after this, he would go on to do The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean, The Macintosh King, The Man Who Would Be King. So this helped to actually jumpstart Houston's career, which is really good. And Houston's a really, really good director. He's kind of like an actor's director. He pulls out really, really good performances here. We should mention that Candy Clark, this is her film debut. This is like her first movie. She would go on to do some pretty successful things as well. The screenplay is by Leonard Gardner, who actually wrote the novel Fat City. And so this is his screenplay of his adapted novel, of his novel that he is adapting. And I think he does a really, really good job here. It's really more of a character study, this film. Ostensibly, I was like, oh, okay, it's basically going to be, Jeff Bridges' character starting out in his quest to become a boxer, and then Stacy Keach's sort of trying to get back into that. But I think it's more than that. It's not necessarily just, well, here's one boxer, towards the end of his career and another boxer starting it. I think it's more than that. It's more of a character study.
Yeah.
And specifically, the film kind of opens almost like Deliverance. In a way, you're seeing how one part of Stockton is being revitalized, and then it moves quickly to the Skid Row of Stockton, where there's, sort of it's the poorer section. There's marginalized people of color, that kind of thing. And so it's very, very interesting. Our cinematography is by Conrad Hall. Conrad Hall, very celebrated cinematographer. In fact, the International Cinematography's Guild named him as one of the 10 most influential. And so we may know Conrad Hall from his Oscar-winning pictures, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and then he wouldn't win another Oscar until American Beauty, which he shot, and then, of course, Road to Perdition, the Sam Mendes film. So the interesting thing about Conrad Hall is he shot 18 films in 12 years,
Yeah,
which
that's
is kind of a feat, right? And then he took an 11-year break. I think he deserved it, right? Conrad Hall, you deserve this break. But he's shot other films like he's known for Cool Hand Luke. What are the other films that he's done? Day of the Locust, In Cold Blood, The Professionals. And then after he took his break, he came back for Robert Townsend's Tequila Sunrise, Searching for Bobby Fischer, A Civil Action, both of which starred John Travolta. And then the other film he's also very much known for is 76's Marathon Man. I believe that was directed by John Schlesinger, starring Dustin Hoffman. It was one of the early films to adopt the Steadicam. And notably, his Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid cinematography, he actually was one of the few to experiment with overexposing the film to give the film a particular look. I think David Fincher and his cinematographer for Seven, I want to say it's Darius Kanji, I might be wrong about that, but they also experimented with not only overexposing the film, but dipping the film in like sort of a different chemical than they normally do to get that kind of look that they got for that film. So I love me some Conrad Hall. Interestingly enough, he was born in Papeete, Tahiti, French Polynesia. So he does sort of have that interesting sort of background where he was born. His father was an ace pilot and captain. So yeah, Conrad Hall, totally awesome. The music here, Marvin Hamlish. Everybody should know Marvin Hamlish. He's an American composer, one of the few to do that EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. So, you know, his favorite musicals growing up were things like My Fair Lady, West Side Story, but he's gone everywhere in terms of composing for film, for television, for stage work, all of it. Yeah. So there's a lot of great talent below the line for this film.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and I will say one thing about Conrad Bain, a film that nobody talks about is one of my favorites, is Without Limits, the Steve Prefontaine story with my man Donald Sutherland and Billy Crudup. So that's an
Billy
awesome
Crudup,
film.
yes. And unfortunately, that film was overshadowed by Pre, which was produced by Tom Cruise, starring Jared Leto.
Yeah, so what happened with that film is that apparently originally the same producers, they got in an argument and they both basically went their separate ways. The better of the two films, trust me guys, I'm a runner, not that it says anything, but Without Limits, superior film. Prefontaine,
for real.
Not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's worth watching, but as far as more cinematic, definitely Without Limits.
Nice.
But
also, this is not a snub against Jared Leto because let's face it, he's kind of a controversial actor.
Yeah.
But Crudup has him beat talent wise.
Yeah. Well, Crudup. The thing about him is, you know, people often wonder why like he's not in the spotlight as much. He's just very selective. Like he's on that Apple show with Jennifer Aniston, which is fantastic.
What is that morning show?
Yeah, it's fantastic. He's on that. And then like he does a shit ton of stuff on Broadway. You know, he has 2 Tony Awards under his belt, you know, and an Emmy. So he's just very selective. But yeah, no.
And some controversy because he was married to I want to say I call her the Weeds girl, Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately he left her for Claire Danes.
Yeah, when she was like pregnant, you know. You know.
Yeah.
Not the nicest thing in the world to do, you know, but you know.
No.
Listen, I try to separate the art from the artist because if I don't, I'm never going to be able to watch a Kevin Spacey movie. I mean, there's going to be
you'll never be able to watch anything actually if you dig deep enough. So
exactly.
Now getting into our talent behind the scenes, with our actors, we have Stacy Keach, who basically is an aging boxer. Now Stacy Keach, when I think of Stacy Keach, it's funny. The first thing that I ever saw Stacy Keach in was a show that came out, I want to say either late 90s, early 2000s, called Titus. It's based off of the life story of a comedian, Christopher Titus. I love that show. Stupid show, but he played like this antagonist, like just horrible father, and they would constantly get into it. When you guys think of Stacy Keach and his roles, what are the ones that like you're like automatically like that's a must see? For me, also The Hitcher. I have to put that one out there. I love The Hitcher.
Yes. Well, I think he's probably most known for Mike Hammer, which was that was the show. I think I learned about Stacy Keach basically, but same thing. Just like Billy Crudup, Keach has done a lot of like stage work and is definitely known for his Shakespearean work. But what's weird is obviously the cleft palate is the thing that like I think of when I think of Stacy Keach. It still makes him gorgeous. And he often will wear a mustache to disguise it. And it's sort of like, why? Like, just, you're gorgeous. Like, just do it. But I think what's interesting is he has a younger brother, James Keach,
Oh,
and
okay.
both of them are also known for playing police authority figures in known comedies. So James Keach played a deputy in a film called Moving Violations. I know nobody has
Oh,
seen
okay. Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Oh,
I know that
I
movie.
have.
Okay, yeah. But it was
Yeah.
from the makers of like Police Academy, and
Yeah.
they
Oh,
were
I love
just
it.
trying to do for like the MVA and driving school what they did for the Police Academy. It's not very well known, but I have seen that movie a million fucking times,
Yeah,
and
love it.
I think it's hysterical. But Stacy Keach played Sergeant Stadenko in Cheech and
Yeah,
Chong's
yeah,
Up in Smoke and Nice Dreams. So that's the other thing I know Stacy Keach about. And so I think it's interesting that he's had not only this serious career, but this crazy comedy career, Cheech and Chong, Titus, which you mentioned, and then
yeah.
he even showed up on Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Brooklyn
Brooklyn
Nine-Nine.
Nine-Nine
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
with
season. Yeah.
yeah. So
Uh,
there you
and
go.
what about you, John? What's your relationship when you think about Mr. Keach? Is there anything that in particular that stood out, or anything that you
I
love?
mean, pretty much echoing
Yeah,
everything that Jose said.
yeah,
His standouts for me was definitely Mike Hammer,
yeah.
Cheech and Chong,
Cheech and
Cheech and
Chong, of
Chong
course,
movies.
of
It's just
course.
great. There was another one. What was it? The Long Riders. I
Yes,
Yes,
think
yes.
in
the Long Riders.
1980.
I think he either
You
wrote
know,
or directed that one. Maybe I thought
I
I
think he
produced it.
co-wrote it, or
Yes,
he
Yeah,
was definitely involved behind the scenes with that.
I
But
yeah.
think
he
he.
is
Oh no,
he
you know what? He produced it.
Oh,
Walter
produced
Hill
it.
okay,
directed it.
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. Walter Hill. That's right.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, his background I got really curious about because I didn't fully understand the breadth of his stage work and his Shakespearean,
Yeah,
work. This guy's, if you can do stage work, movies, and TV, you're an actor, right? You covered
oh
it
yeah,
all. And one fact that I found that it kind of completely blew my mind. He
yeah.
worked on stage with a certain actor that was his debut to the acting world at large, and that was Morgan Freeman.
Oh shit. Oh,
yes,
very.
And
yes. We won't say the title,
no,
but
no,
Oh,
we won't go
no,
there. It
no,
has it has a very dated word in the
oh, okay.
title
super dated word.
Yeah,
that
But
is offensive.
but yeah, it's one of those things when you look at Stacy Keach, and again, like you said, personal issues aside, this man is history, and you mentioned it last, Jose. So when I saw him, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So when he appeared in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I was like, yes, Stacy
Of
Keach
course,
is
he would
here.
show up.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
he just still has that presence, right? His
yeah.
character presence. I love Stacy Keach. I'm glad. I'm also trying to. I might be confused, but I could have swore he also played like a villain. It always escapes my mind, but it was like a white-haired, white-eyed villain that I can't remember who played it, if it was him or not. But I always kind of like picture him in that. But
Mm.
beyond that,
Could that
to
be how he looked in Road Games? I don't
I
hold
can't
on.
remember. I had to go back and dig it up. But again, growing up, specifically to me, Mike Hammer, love a good,
Yeah,
Yeah.
police story, detective show, and he brought it with that one. It was really great to see.
yeah. That's
I
awesome.
should I should mention one of the other Stacy Keach performances that I absolutely love is The Ninth Configuration, which
Oh
was
yeah.
written by William Peter Blatty, who wrote The Exorcist. Fun fact, they were actually considering him to play the priest in The Exorcist, but he passed on it,
What?
which is kind of interesting. But
Sure.
just as a shout out to our mutual friend, KoreanKool's and I's mutual friend Troy, I actually was on episode 155 of Not a Bomb when we talked about the Ninth Configuration because it's an interesting movie.
Mhm.
I've probably seen it like 10 times. I love it. It always makes me think. So, yeah.
Very cool. And
That's
another
awesome.
fact that I found out about him, apparently he's also an accomplished pianist and composer. He composed music for the 2009 film Imbued. I think that's the name of it. I hope I
Yeah.
got that right. Yes. Hold on. Bear with me for a second, guys. I lost my place here. Okay. Yes. Yeah. The 2009 film Imbued. Yeah, so he's done it all, man. I mean, Escape from LA, The Phantasm, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. He did a voice for that.
Yep.
Class of '99, like you said, Cheech and Chong, Nice Dreams, Road Games, The Long Riders. The guy's just he's definitely a treasure in the acting community, and it's awesome to see him in this. Um, Here's one for you, Prison Break. I forgot he was in that. He was in Prison Break too.
Yes, that's right.
Was he? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the TV
Yeah.
series. Yeah, he popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he cropped up on the Blacklist and Blue Bloods. He did a little television stint, showing up as kind of like the villain of the piece in some ways.
Now, moving on to Jeff Bridges. Again, since we've covered Jeff Bridges many, many times, I'm not going to go through his entire resume, guys.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, King Kong, Heaven's Gate, Tron, 8 Million Ways to Die, which we talked about, Fearless, which
Yep.
we've also talked about recently. The guy just has such a versatile film career, and it's all over the place, and that's why I'm glad you picked him, because it's a great actor to celebrate. Talking about supporting roles, we have Candy Clark playing the role of Faye Murdoch, Bridges' girlfriend, and she's great. She ends up getting pregnant in the movie. She was actually nominated an Oscar in '74 for this, which is pretty impressive. She's also been in stuff like American Graffiti, The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Big Sleep, another movie called More American Graffiti. I didn't know they made a sequel to American Graffiti.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There was less successful, but yes.
Very much less successful.
Q the Winged Serpent, Blue Thunder, Amityville 3D, Cat's Eye. Here's another one for you, French Connection 3.
Yeah.
Yikes.
The Blob. It's just, the list goes on, dude. It's just a very versatile career. She even pops up on television, like with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Baywatch Nights. It's talking about Pamela Anderson earlier. Criminal Minds. Next, we have Susan Tyrrell, and Susan Tyrrell is playing the role of Oma Lee Greer. And she's another one that she really brings it in this film.
She does.
And her career is really kind of all over the place. She does a voice for the Ralph Bakshi animated film, which I actually talked about a few months ago, Wizards. And she's uncredited because she didn't want to. I think her agents thought it was beneath her or something like that. And that film actually ended up being a midnight movie that actually garnered a lot of success. So years later, she would work on again with Ralph Bakshi with his film Fire and Ice, but this time she didn't go for the uncredited role. She's like, no, give me the credit.
Necron. I think one of the things that many often describe her as is like whiskey voiced. And yeah, I love Susan Tyrrell. And I think, is she the one that got the nomination for this movie? Was it her,
Yes.
or
No,
was it
no.
both Candy Clark?
Okay, then
It was Susan Tyrrell got the nomination for Fat City.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she plays a fiery alcoholic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's also in stuff like genre stuff like Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. She shows up in Angel and just
Angel.
and Avenging Angel.
Sully in Angel. Hello.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you go from Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, which was, holy crap, that movie is crazy if you've never seen it. Holy
I
crap.
love it.
Oh yes, it's amazing. And then see her in Angel and Avenging Angel. I'm like,
oh my god.
bravo,
Yes.
bravo.
So those movies, I remember watching them all the time on HBO. And I just remember being like, I don't know anybody who exists like this character that Tyrrell plays. And I was just like, my life's ambition is to either become her or to know people like her. Like her character is so larger than life and just insane. And you say based a little bit in life, because she hung out and had a relationship with somebody named Candy Darling, who was like born a man, but was sort of trans in some ways and hung out with like Andy Warhol. And so in that movie, she's friends with drag queens and all these larger than life characters. So Susan Tyrrell, she started on the stage too. So you know, you can see the theatricality. I mean, you just knowing she came from the stage, it's like, okay, well, that makes sense, right? But also Flesh and Blood, the Paul Verhoeven
Oh,
film.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
absolutely
Yeah, I
love her
completely
in
forgot
that.
about that one.
And Big
Yeah,
Top
yeah.
Pee Wee. Let's not forget Big Top Pee Wee.
Yep. And From a Whisper to a Scream, she was in that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
she's got some interesting stuff going on as far as her career goes. Definitely some really cool choices. So I definitely
Love her.
Yes.
Next we have a gentleman, Curtis Cokes, who plays Earl, her boyfriend. Now this was interesting. He's very like laid back performance, really good. But this is the only movie he's ever done. Yeah, I
Oh,
was just shocked by that. Yeah. So
yeah.
he's in it for, and that's why I mentioned him. Usually I don't mention everybody, but he's in it for its, and he has a significant part. But yeah, surprised by that.
Well, that's because it was, for what I remember, we'll talk a little bit more, but
Yeah.
Houston brought him on because he's actually a boxer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I think he
Yeah.
used some
There are a number of
boxers.
actual boxers in this too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But he delivers, not only was he a boxer delivering blows, but man, his basic speech to freaking Billy is just, it's just
At
wow.
the
You
end.
just
It's something.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. Up next, we have Nicholas Calsanto. He's playing the trainer, Mr. Ruben Luna. A lot of TV stuff like Alfred Hitchcock Hour, Car 54, Where Are You? My Favorite Martian, Kojak. He pops up in Hitchcock's last film, Family Plot,
Yes.
Raging Bull. And then I think most people are going to know him from Cheers because he was on 68 episodes of Cheers. So I think that's the
Yep.
one that, like, if you're
Yes.
an kid, you probably remember that. Now, when it comes to the story, I feel like this one has a little more meat. So instead of doing the Justin one sentence or two plot
Yeah.
which, listen, I love Justin.
Without the dad jokes.
Without the dad jokes. I mean, we throw in as many dad jokes as you want. I'm going to probably get a little bit more into the script, only just because I feel like this thing does, even though it's a simple story, I feel like it has some heft. So I'm gonna go into it a little bit more. So just give me a second here. So the story opens up, and correct me if I make mistakes along the way, guys. The story starts, and we were introduced to Billy Tully, who's kind of like a guy in his late 30s. He's an aging boxer. And we see him go down to his local gym, and he's trying to punch the bag around and try to get in shape. And he sees a young guy in the corner kind of training. And that's the character Ernie Munger, who's played by Mr. Bridges. And he kind of introduces himself. And he's like, hey, I'm trying to get back into shape. I see that you're training. Do you want to go a couple rounds and see if we can do a little sparring? So the two spar. And he sees potential, and he goes up to him and he says, hey, listen, kid, I think you did really good. I think you have something. Why don't I give you my information from my old trainer, whose name is Ruben? So that's like how the film kind of starts off. Later that night, we see our main character, Mr. Tully, go over to the local bar, and you can see, he's definitely someone that doesn't shy away from his drinks. He's definitely a bar fly. And at this point, we're introduced to Oma Lee Greer, played by Mrs. Susan Tyrrell, and her laid-back boyfriend, who we just mentioned, Earl. And basically, they engage in a nice little conversation. He ends up telling them about the kid and that he met today and all this talent that he has and how impressed he was. And how basically the whole thing has kind of inspired him to get back into fighting. Basically, we kind of find out that once upon a time, he had this career, and then, he got involved with the wrong woman, and his coach made some bad choices, and he's kind of one of those point everything at everyone else except for himself kind of guys, or at least that's what it kind of seems like in the beginning. That's the impression we're kind of getting. So we find out more about Tully and his life, and basically kind of like what a mess it is. Basically his wife left him. He drinks way too much, and he just can't get a hold of a job. He can't hold down a job without constantly getting fired. It's mentioned a couple times throughout the movie about how he's been fired from different job opportunities and stuff like that. He ends up working, picking fruit and vegetables in a field with a lot of like migrant workers just to kind of make ends meet because he's at Skid's Row. And he still manages to blame, like I mentioned earlier, Ruben, his former manager, for mishandling his last fight. Basically, the way he looks at it is he didn't handle things right, and because of that, it kind of killed his career.
Well, he
Meanwhile,
actually, I think he wasn't there, right? He went and
yeah,
fought the guy himself.
yeah,
Yeah, but we'll talk about it later. There's that interesting dynamic between him and Ruben, and then how you see Ruben treating Jeff Bridges' character as well.
yeah,
So
no, absolutely, yeah. Like I said, anytime you guys have anything interesting to add or anything to say, please. I don't want to feel like I'm monopolizing this whole screen thing. Definitely, like you did, mention it for all by all means. So yeah, later we flash forward a little bit in the story. Tully encounters Oma one night at the bar, and basically we find out Earl's arrested. And we get this whole interesting scene. It's like almost like they're trading war stories about what they've been through. She's talking about all the abusive relationships she's been in, and the different husbands, and what this guy did and what that guy did, and he's kind of getting a little bit into his background and what he's been through. And there's almost like this bonding over
through
their
trauma.
over
Yeah.
trauma and toxicity. But at the same moment, he's also kind of not really like, it doesn't seem like his character is kind of really healing per se, because he's kind of also being a little bit toxic towards her. But I think she's kind of attracted it to the toxicity. I think, there's not to get too into psychology too much, because I didn't major in it by any means. But like, I think there's that attitude, that mentality of, let's face it, if you grew up, like, for example, in an alcoholic background, there's a good possibility you might become an alcoholic, right? Same
Yeah.
thing with toxic relationships, like if you've been in one after another, it's very hard to break that chain. I think a lot of people, you can recognize it, but sometimes you still fall into those same patterns. And I feel like this scene in particular, I think, is really kind of special, because you get two people that are not in the best place, and they've both been in toxic places, and they're both contending with a lot in their life. And even though they probably don't have a ton in common, once you can look past that, there's still like this bonding kind of connection moment over that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the difference is that scene, it's weird. That scene is like the alcoholic version of the scene in Jaws where they're all comparing scars or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is Keach has that crazy moment where he's like, oh, I'm so worthless. I'm just gonna bang my head against the jukebox. And then she's like, well, why don't you do it? And then he goes and he does it. And so I think it's weird. They're seeing an opportunity with each other, like maybe I can fix her, and then she's like, maybe he won't abuse me because clearly he can abuse himself. Like it's
Yeah.
really just, the whole movie is just really dark and depressing, and it's about these sort of characters that can't seem to get out of their own way.
Yeah.
And then they layer alcohol on top of that, and it just makes their decision making even worse. Like Bridges, I think, is the only one who seems to sort of get away from this, but he even makes his own mistake by getting Candy Clark pregnant, and in some ways almost sabotaging his boxing career before it even gets off, right? Which is sort of the same way that the Keach character sabotages his own boxing career, because he lets the woman leaving him be such an overriding concern, and this whole victimhood, like, well, it's all Ruben's fault that I'm not a good boxer, and it's all her fault for leaving me for being a good boxer, and I'll just pour alcohol on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
No,
whole film is really kind of sad and depressing,
Not
because
kinda.
even
Not
the
kinda. It is
yeah,
sad
it
and
is,
dark.
because even
I
even the Ruben,
cracked the bottle open.
yeah, let's pour alcohol on all our problems, it'll solve it. But even the Ruben character, you get the sense that he sort of finds these boxers and he thinks, okay, this is going to be my meal ticket to more money, but
Yeah.
then he mishandles them. And so what I had said before was that you get the sense that Ruben sells them a dream and a vision, and even when the fight is happening, like, they're clearly going down, both Jeff Bridges and Keach, and he's like, you got him, if you just keep plugging away you're gonna win, or whatever. And there's this really depressing scene where Ruben is there and Jeff Bridges is there and the other fighters are there and Stacy Keach is there, and he's sort of like, of course he's drunk also, but he's sort of like selling them this fantasy, like, oh, you guys almost had it. You had him on the on the ropes, and you almost won. Next time we're gonna get them. And then it like gives you these close-ups of each of the fighters, and their faces are bruised, and they're looking down. They can't even look at Ruben, and they're like, yeah, you're right. I almost won, but it's kind of like my fault or whatever. So it's weird. Like each character has their own way of covering for looking at their own sort of inadequacies, but not being able to move on and improve from those. You know,
Yeah.
it's really super sad. It's super sad.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one that hits. It definitely hits the emotional wallops with this one. The emotional baseball the emotional baseball bat comes out in this film. That's for sure.
Oh, it certainly does. Hits
Oh, yeah.
all of them.
It's small. So basically, cutting to the next scene, we see Ernie Munger, played by Mr. Bridges, gets his first big debut. He meets the boxing coach. He agrees to take him on, and like you mentioned, he gets his ass kicked. His first fight, he gets knocked out, and he gets a broken nose. And then from there, we start to see the little bit of the trouble in his life because we find out that his girlfriend Faye is pregnant. And he's, of course, feeling pressured because he's 18 years old. He's trying to get this boxing career started. And he ends up actually getting a job with Tully picking fruits in the field. And they kind of bond. Tully convinces his old manager, Ruben, to kind of take him back. He says, hey, listen, I know the last time wasn't the best, but I'm really inspired to really come back. And he sets up his first bout against this tough Mexican guy named Lucera, who also is kind of a little bit seen better days, I guess is a polite way to put it. He's a little bit beat up, and he's taken it a couple too many times. And they managed to knock each other down, believe it or not.
Yes.
In some weird, and I've never seen. I've never watched a lot of boxing, so I will say that much. I've never seen that before. They managed to both knock each other down, and I think by technicality, Tully is called the winner.
Yes. And fun fact, that actor or that boxer that plays Lucero actually knocked Stacy Keach out, and that shot remains in the movie when he first knocks him out. That was a real knockout, which is kind of crazy. But yeah.
And what's interesting about like what's next, and this is where we kind of fall more into the bleakness that you were talking about. So like in a film like this, like okay, there's some bleakness for what we know that we've established that, but at this point, I would be like, okay, the old guy won his first fight back, even though it's technicality. Like you're kind of rooting for him, and you're waiting for that like not Rocky moment, but you're waiting for that type of film to develop.
Yeah.
You're not getting it because his big celebration is cut short when he finds out that Ruben is only going to give him $100 of the purse from the fight he just won. And at this point, he's already kind of like had enough, and he decides to stop working with Ruben. He basically is like, "What do you mean $100?" So he gets home, and just when you think things can't get worse, we find out Earl has moved back in with Oma, and she wants nothing to do with him. Basically, Earl's being a nice guy. He's like, she wanted to throw your shit out, man. But he gives up a box of clothing, and
look who showed up.
Yeah. And she's with that, like you said, she's got that wisp, that drunkenness about her.
Yeah.
So we see later on that not too long later, we see Ernie Munger returning from a fight. You see him about to get in his car, and then from the corner of his eye, we see drunk Tully, because of course Tully's back to drinking again. He tries approaching him, and he tries to ignore him at first, but he realizes he's not going to go away. So Tully goes up to him and he asks him, "Hey, listen, can we get a drink? Go have a beer and get caught up?" And he's like, I don't have time. I got things to do. My wife is pregnant, But he managed to convince him to get a cup of coffee. And the two men sit down and drink. And Ernie Munger says he needs to leave. And Tully asks him to stay a little while. And they basically just end the film with the two just kind of drinking coffee, sitting there in silence. And again, dialing back into that bleakness that you were saying, it kind of ends. It's not a long movie, which I was kind of surprised by too, because I felt like it was a dramatic film. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer, but what it manages to do in the time that it has, it manages to get all its points across effectively and give us this story. And
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, it's very bleak. Um, and you can just look at the characters and you're like, I mean, personally, I feel like, okay, Jeff Bridges is obviously getting a girl pregnant at 18 is definitely not the way to start off a career. But I feel like there's a little bit of hope for him if he just stays true and steady and stays the course. But with Keach, man, it's just like, man, you know what I mean? Like the guy, I mean, some of the mistakes he makes obviously are his own. You know what I mean? The whole pointing the finger at everyone is not a good way to go because at a certain point, even if you grew up under the worst possible conditions and you've had the worst possible life, at a certain point you have to realize, right? Like, hey, it doesn't matter what you've been through. It's like a matter of resetting and starting over.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely dark and it's definitely bleak. And I'm gonna get a little more into my thoughts later. I want to let you guys go ahead and let me know what you guys think. Like, what are your overall thoughts after you watch this film? And let me ask you, is this the first time you guys have seen this film, or have you seen it many times before? For me, it was a first time watch.
First time watch.
I've seen it a ton of times
Yeah,
because yeah, I have I think I want to say I'm like 7 movies from completing owning all of Jeff Bridges' films. So yeah, so I've definitely seen this a lot, and it's so just just depressing, just absolutely freaking depressing. Like I think after, and it's so sad because he thinks that if he gets back into the boxing, he's going to recapture something. And like he wins, but he doesn't even realize he won. And even when he meets everybody out in that hallway, he still looks shell shocked. Like he doesn't remember that he won. And that's not a good sign. Like
no,
if you're getting back into it after a 2-year sort of hiatus from it, and you can't even remember whether you won the fight, that doesn't pretend for like a good future career. And then to make matters worse, I can't remember why, but Ruben ends up giving Bridges some money. Do we remember what that was? Did they bet on it? I can't remember. Um, but he ends up giving him some money. And then what's even more depressing is that at the end of the fight, and I keep wondering why they always show us this shot, but after everybody's left, Lucero comes out and he's in a nice suit, but like there's nobody there to meet him. He's by himself. I mean, everything's pretty much shutting down. Like as he's walking out, the lights are going out as well. And it's just super sad. Like he almost is like the Stacy Keach character, but we have no idea what's going on with him, and he may be in a worse situation than them. And of course, the whole like that speech when he picks up his stuff from what's his face's apartment, Eddie's apartment,
Earl, yeah.
Earl's apartment, and Earl comes out and he's like, look, don't pay her no mind. It looks like you got back into boxing. You do you. You and I, we're totally cool. We're straight or whatever. But you
yeah,
probably shouldn't come around anymore because she just doesn't want to see you. And it was like it's just so sad. Like they both understand who Oma is, but they have this sort of like camaraderie to be like, look, do you, looks like you're headed one way, just forget about her or whatever. It's yeah, all of it is just so sad. And then the Bridges character, like you said at the end, he's he quickly realizes what kind of a trainer Ruben is, and that it really is all just about money. Um and it's sad that my other thought watching this again was men really do need therapy, or they need to talk about these things that they are going through and not just drink. And when they have that opportunity to do that, like, hey, Keach says to him, look, don't go. Like, we really should just like talk. They don't talk. They
Right.
just sit there in silence. Um, and it's super sad. You just think that you have to think that like the future for both of them is not so great at this time, you know? Um, but yeah, it's a very affecting like character study. Um, to say nothing of the fact that like the workout shorts on either one of these gentlemen is so short. I thought that there was going to be like a testicle slip or something.
and
But
Jose was desperately waiting for it.
I mean, you know, I had to say it. I had to say it. But like, yeah,
But
as a
please,
character
please.
study, this it's just the Stacy Keach character is just so tragic,
Yeah.
so very tragic. Just can't make the right decisions, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, the beginning of the film tells you every. I always say this: the beginning of the film tells you everything that you need to know, and it's like we zoom in on Stacy Keach. He's lying in bed in his underwear. He's trying to smoke, right? But it's like the Alanis Morissette song. He just, a hundred, what is it? 100 spoons when all you need is a fork. Like there's booze everywhere. Clearly he's in a poor state of being. He's not making the money, and he just can't find a fucking match for his cigarette.
Yeah.
He just can't. And it's like it immediately starts off sad, and it only gets sadder for
Yeah.
that character.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great movie. I wasn't born when this movie was released in '72, but damn it, if it isn't a really good character study that's bleak and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what about you, John? What are your, when you think about this film? What are your overall thoughts?
So when I finished watching Fat City, I had to get a drink.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's never too early to
It
start.
may, I mean,
start
it
with a
kind of
drinking
drives you to
problem.
drink. It's that sad, okay?
I'll be blunt, right? I think Fat City, it should have had like a subtitle, right, which is Dream City, because that was my big takeaway. Jose, you hit it right. It's a character study, but it's always about my perspective was about everyone's dreams, right? What happens
Yeah.
when your dreams get shattered? Well, we open the movie and we see what happens, right? You wake up, your whitey tidies, looks like your wee wee's about to pop out of your freaking box, your whitey tidies,
Yeah.
and you got alcohol all over the place, and a simple task such as finding a match, you can't even accomplish that, right? Unger and Tully, that whole relationship, it's like Tully he's trying he's trying to live vicariously through Munger, right? He talks him up. Oh man, I know talent when I see talent. Hey, I used to be a championship boxer, and through that whole thing,
Yeah.
Oma, you want to talk about a performance? This was a performance, and unfortunately, I've known a couple people who've let alcohol take a vast control a control of a vast majority of their lives. And
Mm.
the scene where he's just trying to cook her dinner, a simple, nice task, right?
Yeah.
And she goes from a range of outright insult to outright appreciation to don't talk to me to wait, can I go with you? And her
Yeah.
performance really builds upon this whole motif right from the get-go, which is Fat City. My understanding and researching the city, because I found it interesting that Stockton, California, it's Stockton, but it always had that nickname, Fat City, right? Which is Dream City. You dream, this is how you're gonna get rich. Ruben, Jose, you hit upon it, right? He's like, he barely won against Lucero, and he's like, "Oh, look, ain't nobody can touch him. He's gonna be the next champion." Blah blah blah. Ruben's trying to use Tully to get rich himself, while giving him a little bit. I'm glad you brought up that scene with Lucero just walking out, and my takeaway was he is actually the complete opposite of what Fat City was. Right? He knew what he was
Mm.
doing. He knew what he was
Yeah.
getting into. It's a boxing match. Nobody's around. The lights are out. But guess what? He's still dressed sharp as hell. That
Yeah.
money is in his pocket. He's going to go home. He doesn't have to waste money on alcohol. Some crazy lady trying to take him for his money. He's just, he's basically Dapper Dan walking out. And was like, even though the lights had shut off and it was a dark scene, that was like the bright moment in the movie to me, right? Which was, hey, pay attention here. This is a guy who he had a job to do. He came, he did his job, got his money, and now he's going home, right? He's not
Yeah.
dwelling on fantasies of, oh, I'm going to be a championship boxer. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Unger.
It's a good
And
take.
yeah, Unger
Yeah.
and his fiance, Unger, he said it, right? Oh, I'm just here, to to relax a little bit and get some boxing. He's not really trying to stuff. Oh, and hey, I got, trivia. I got to give props to Beau Bridges. My understanding, he was originally offered the role.
Yeah.
But he said he didn't think he could play an 18-year-old. So, hey, give it to my brother, who's actually an 18-year-old,
Yes.
but he actually has some, some basic skills in boxing. I don't know, if he ever took up, I mean, the speed bag, he's going to town on that speed bag. But from the start of the movie where, Tully's trying to talk him up and he's like, oh, really? You think so? And then his first fight, he gets demolished.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Then he goes to a second fight and he gets knocked out. And Jose, you said it right. You want to see the story of these people's lives? Look at their faces. He's sitting in his corner going, did I just get knocked out? Did I just get knocked out? Billy's face, walking out from beating Lucero. Oh, yeah, okay. I won? Okay, cool. Oma's face, just the range of emotion on her. Even down to Ruben's face, right? He did Billy wrong, right? But he's still yelling, "Get out of the street! I don't want you to get hit by a car. I don't want my meal ticket getting hurt."
Yeah.
It's bad. This movie it's depressing. But I think the purpose of being such a depressive film is to speak to the audiences. It's like, at least from my perspective, I got done watching this. Is like, you know what? I've tried a lot of things. I've failed at a lot of things, but I've also been very successful at certain things. Not everything.
Yeah.
But what I have now, I am truly appreciative for. I don't, so I'm not, a big superstar action martial arts hero. Um, I'm here. I'm talking to some good friends of mine. I got a great family. Went to go see Savannah Bananas. Um, I can't complain. Whereas, Billy especially, he's always reiterating, and he finally lets it out towards the end of the movie, if I remember, that, his wife, who apparently he loved, um, basically took him for everything he had. And instead of saying and accepting what was, he's drowning himself in that bottle trying to get back what he had with Oma, only to have that door slammed in his face again, except Earl was there to help him. And Earl's speech, his words to Billy,
Yeah.
those hit harder than any of the boxing punches in that movie. I mean, he's like, even down, oh man, you can keep the t-shirt. I got plenty. He's like, no, man. A man's, what do you say? I forget the exact words, but what belongs to a man's goes with the man. Right.
Yeah.
A man's property is his property. And then
his
she's
property.
like, you took the shirt off his back.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? And it's that respect, but it's also another brutal reality punch for Billy to understand. And I'll just finish with that scene with Unger. Unger basically he catches his eye. He's like, I don't want to, I don't need, please car start. Please car start. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
Right. But as usual, the car never starts and they gets talked into at least a cup of coffee. But it's that scene that really kind of stuck with me when Billy turns around and he's looking at his surroundings, at the different people, and the frame freezes, right? It was like the look on his face was like, my God, I'm stuck here. This is what I'm seeing right now. These people, this is my reality going forward. And gosh, you want to talk about one of the most powerful ways, having seen this again for the first time, that end scene is like, let's just stay a little longer and talk.
Yeah.
And they just sit there and sip coffee.
Yeah.
No words exchanged. You want to talk about powerful, right? It's because there is a lot to say. But when you already know what's going to be said, you say nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As short as this movie was, it was dark, it was gritty, it was a very, very well done case study. And having finished watching it and go back, I also took a little bit of interest in John Huston and why he signed on to this, right? And come to find out, he himself was a boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but he was a bad boxer, right? He was a bad boxer. And Stockton, California, Fat City was known. Gosh, the only boxer that I can ever recall coming out there is Tony Dominguez Jr. Like the only one that has some kind of name recognition. But that's what it was. It's Dream City. You know, you're gonna get rich here, when reality is no. As Billy experienced, I'm stuck here. Unger with his kid is going to try and move on. It seemed like without boxing because he wants to do right by his kid and his fiance. So what's next? I mean, the whole movie, again, it's just, you know, we'll sell you dreams, but you know,
you're never getting out of Stockton.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
no,
sad.
definitely. Yeah, and you know, honestly, I mean, I'm going to echo a lot of what you guys have already said, but yeah, no, I mean, that's what the movie's. What if when you boil the movie down to its core, that's what it's about. It's about one young guy going after starting a life, and some stuff happens along the way. You know, a wife pregnant, a guy that's trying to swindle him, and then you have the aging guy that unfortunately is never really confronted his own reality. You know, because I'm sure, like I said, the coach might have been bad. And there might have been some things that genuinely were other people's problems, their fault, excuse me. But he never actually comes to a point where he's able to just be like, you know what? I also fucked up a lot of my life. And now how do I unfuck up my life? You know what I mean? That's the information that I get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, that's the most bleakest thing. Because like I mentioned earlier, you know, we've all made mistakes in our life. We've probably all done shit that we regret. We've all been in situations that have probably affected us. But if you're not able to get to a certain point where you're able to stop, recognize, and then redirect, you're constantly going to be going through life in that same situation because things are going to repeat until you can accept that things need to get changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like that one saying that I always, you know, rely on for other folks when they, you know, want to change something in their life. I'm like, well, you know what? There's a little saying I heard a long time ago, and it says, if you want to start to solve one's life's problem, start by looking in the mirror.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think a lot of people, you know, I think a lot of people have a hard time. It takes a lot of courage to just be able to do that and then actually go, you know what? Yeah, this is not a good place, but now I'm here. How do I fix it? You know, and I think a lot of people, and I think with him, it's a big part of this story. You know what I mean? But I mean, the performances are all really fantastic. Even like Earl, he only really is in those two scenes, and it doesn't matter. Like they're two great scenes. You know, it's so unfortunate that he hasn't had more work. And then you know Tyrrell, like you know, like you can see that they're both driving. Just the one thing to touch on, you know, even before that relationship ends up unraveling. And I think the minute we meet her and the minute we see them get in the relationship, I know that relationship is going to unravel. But you know what I mean? But then as we're watching it unravel, like before his big fight, Tully's big fight, we see a scene where he comes home from working one day and she's been in bed all day and she's smoking cigarettes and she's giving him a hard time. She doesn't want to get a job. You know what I mean? She just wants to leech off this man who, is dysfunctional and has plenty of issues. But she's another one that doesn't want to take assessment of her own shit, pardon my French, and try to make herself better. She just wants to leech from one bad situation to another. She talks about when we first meet her in that bar in that first scene, she talks about how she was in all these horrible relationships. But again, she knows going with Tully ain't going to change her station in life. It's not going to make things better, but it's something, you know. It's like she's grasping on to this like false hope of something. And like I said, as you're watching this film, you see the relationship with them and you see it unravel so very quickly. You know what I mean? So that's the place where she's back with Earl again. And Earl, I guess, I don't know what the psychology with Earl is. I mean, Earl's just a chill dude. He's like, I don't mind with all her bullshit. I know she's an alcoholic and she's annoying and she rattles on endlessly. He's like, I just ignore it. It's just one in one ear. And I think he basically says that to Bridges. He's like, I just ignore it. She's got some good in there too. It's just one in one ear and out the other.
But see, that's the beauty of Earl, right?
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know if you guys agree or not, but the one thing I took away from Earl's character was, unlike almost everybody else in the movie, he knew what reality was and he accepted it. Right?
Yeah.
He knew Oma was a drunk, and this is how she was. There ain't no changing her.
Yeah.
Right? And this is basically what he's gonna do. Right? And that's where, again, some of the characters just they couldn't look at the mirror the way Earl, I think, looked in the mirror and said, you know what? This is my reality. I accept it.
Yeah. No. And those are pretty much my thoughts as a whole.
And it was his apartment.
I know.
Oh yeah, that was the other messed up thing, right? Didn't it? Because like they threw away all his shit,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he comes back home and he's still man enough to say a man's property is a man's property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
No.
Meanwhile, he like Stacy Keach comes back from working, and what is Oma doing? She's
Lying
playing
in bed.
goddamn solitaire, drunk, smoking, and then she's all,
Oh,
if you look nicer, you might get a job. Here, put on Earl's jacket. Put on
Yes.
Earl's jacket. Like, it's like, why don't you get a fucking job?
yeah, yeah,
Damn it.
yeah. That was a crazy scene. I was like, what is she? Oh my god, she's trying to play solitaire. But holy shit! It's like, what the?
And then
he
she
ends up
earned
like,
this nod.
Yeah.
oh yeah, but then he ends up like helping to complete the card game for her, which she doesn't even realize because she's so drunk.
Yeah,
And then he pulls out his own bottle, and it's like, oh my god.
yeah. It is so bad. It's
Well,
so bad.
Hanging around her is not going to make him sober. Okay.
No,
And then
not
he
by
tries to-
osmosis
he tries-
anyway.
He tries to make her a meal. Remember, he tries to cook her a meal. There's that whole scene where she doesn't want to eat the meal. She's like, I don't
No.
want your food. I'm not hungry. And he's like, you got to eat. You got to eat something.
And then he's like, God damn it. And he gets up and she goes, okay, I'll have some. I'll have some. It's like, I think we all know those fights where like, suddenly, you kind of lose your cool with the person. They're like, okay, fine, I'm over it. But then you're still riled up and you're like, no, now I'm fucking angry.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy. So
Yeesh.
definitely a good choice. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about this film. So I'm excited. Next month, guys, we're going to talk about. We're going to move on to Mr. Nicolas Cage, and we're going to talk about Red Rock West, which is another one that I have never seen, but I'm excited.
Say it 3 times fast.
Red Rock West. Red Rock West.
Red Rock
Okay, the
West.
third time, I'm like, sound like a stuttering, fumbling fool, but that's okay. I look forward to it. It's a John Dahl movie, so I'm looking forward. It should be really interesting.
So good.
I think it's a movie that a lot of people don't talk about when they think about Nick Cage. A few podcasts that everybody should be listening to. We'll of course start with Mr. Jose and Watch Skip Plus. You guys have what Fantastic Four coming out some point? The weekend or
Hopefully in the
tomorrow?
next couple hours, if I can put all that shit together. First of all, anybody who when we went YouTube, like the work exponentially went up, and I was just like,
of course.
you know how these influencers get to do these videos? They have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Because they have 8 hours a day to edit and shoot this stuff. It's difficult. But yeah, Fantastic Four, and then next Friday-ish, Saturday-ish, Together should be coming out. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait, man. I'm definitely curious to see what you guys had to say about Fantastic Four. The Superman episode was just wonderful. I had such a good time with the Superman episode.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, that was really
That was a lot
that
of
was
fun.
awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, this one's a little ribald. This episode's a little. We go some places. It's a little bit, but straight on conversation. It's good. It's good. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy it.
Nice. So of course we have Not a Bomb with Troy and Brad. And this week they're doing their second week of Weird Al. They're talking about UHF. So definitely check that out.
Yes.
We got the Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema with Will and Sam. It's weird. I don't think they released an episode last Monday. I don't remember. For some reason, I want to say they didn't. I think that
Did they? They might have skipped. I think
Okay, I think they
Will
skipped.
had an emergency potentially.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
that is correct.
but they do have an
Yeah.
episode coming out tomorrow because I saw a post that they were recording this morning. So look forward to that. And then, of course, Raiders of the Podcast with Kevin, Dave, Craig, and Tyler. They're covering the Ballad of Wallace Island, which is an awesome movie. That's
Ooh.
on Peacock. If you guys have Peacock, I
Yeah.
like it a lot. And then they're doing Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion. So talk about a variety right there.
Super cult. Those movies, those movies are crazy and they have a huge cult following.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
seen them, but after hearing them talk, I am very curious. So,
One of us. One of us.
One of us. Yes.
we have Caliber 9 from Outer Space with Rob and Joe. And this week they have your co-host on, Mike the Wildebeest, is on to talk about Space Truckers and the Convent. And that's also a really good episode. 2 different movies, both batshit crazy. Good episode. Check out Caliber 9 from Outer Space with Rob and Joe. And then finally, we have Death by DVD with Harry Scott Sullivan. So definitely check out Death by DVD. They've got some great stuff. I'm going to thank you again for coming on today, Jose. It was awesome having you, buddy. It was good seeing you.
Yeah, always good seeing you, Jose, buddy.
Good times.
Thank you.
For our listeners, we have some exciting stuff coming up. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Spanish film Sleep Tight by one of the directors of Rec. That really, really good film. Highly recommended. Playing my hand early. So check that out. And then we also have a couple comic book episodes we're going to be doing more towards the end of the month. So that's something to look forward to. Thank everybody.
Yeah, Rec was a stressful watch.
Yeah.
When it comes to found footage and just stressful, the original Rec it's too much for me. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, Sleep Tight. Have you ever seen Sleep Tight?
No.
Check out the trailer because I think it would be your type of film. It's it's out on Tubi, I know for definitely, and of course it's not on physical media, but I think it'd be up your alley. It's really fun. But anyway, so yeah, thanks everybody again for listening. We look forward to seeing everybody again next week. If you like the channel, please leave a comment, leave a like, share, get the word out there, spread the love. Exactly. That's what it's all about.
Exactly.